Hi, and welcome to the third series of the Fancy a Brew podcast, talking about adventure, pushing your boundaries, and chasing dreams of underwater exploration. The podcast is supported by Dive Life Scuba Diving Centre, the one-stop shop for all your recreational and technical dive gear and training needs, boasting a 5-star service and their own in-house gas blending and equipment servicing department. For more information, take a look at their website, divelife.co.uk, or on Instagram and Facebook. In this series, I'm going to be chatting to some of the divers I've met along my scuba dive adventures in the last couple of years, ranging from boat skippers, stunt performers, and underwater explorers. So if that sounds like your cup of tea, grab yourself a brew, sit back, and enjoy this week's episode. Right, so Leon Gabbidon, welcome to Fancy a Brew podcast. What brew are you drinking?
Wonderful. Well, normally this time of the day, I would actually be drinking a fruit smoothie because I've just come back from the gym and I would make a mixture of fresh and frozen fruit, blend it up with some spirulina or some wheatgrass, and that's what I would normally have. But actually today I am drinking a brew, and it's in an Emmerdale cup, and we met on Emmerdale.
Yes.
The Emmerdale Cafe.
Mint.
And it's a peace tea, which has, I think it's spearmint and hemp oil in it, and one other ingredient, but it's quite an exotic ingredient, and I can't remember what it is. But yeah.
Peace tea. Nice. Yeah. So, do you want to give us a little intro to who you are? Don't give us too much away, because obviously it'll be like a 2-minute podcast then.
My name's Leon Gabbidon. I'm originally from Birmingham. I now live in London. I've lived quite an extensive life. And currently I work as a stunt performer on the British Stunt Register. I like to think of myself as a bit of a storyteller, and I'll be starting a storytelling YouTube channel this year, and look out for that. Yeah.
Mint. Well, all the research since we met, like you said, on Emmerdale, and us getting on quite well. I think we got on really well, better than
really well. Yeah,
I think we gravitated probably to do with scuba diving, because you came over and said, "Oh, I'm a scuba diver. What are you guys up to? And can I come and dive with you?" Which didn't happen, but must happen this year.
Yeah, definitely.
Looking at what you do and have done, mate, you're like me. You've never stopped. It looks.
Yeah, it's funny. I was talking to one of my friends about this the other day. Why? What is it about people like us that makes us always want to be doing something new or pushing ourselves in areas that we're already in, but to be greater in those particular fields? What is it? I still don't know personally. I know it's inside me, and I know it's inside you, and I know there's a few people out there that I've met that have that same kind of mentality. I just love it. I just absolutely love it. And aside from that, if I don't, I get really bored. Is that bad to say? I don't know.
No, I get it. I tried to have a rest day on Sunday. I'd swam in the morning, so it wasn't a proper rest day. And I had planned to do yoga in the afternoon. But when I sat down at 10 o'clock after having my breakfast, and I had nothing to do. I like a good list, of stuff that's coming up that needs to, or a diary. But I had nothing but to just chill out, put the telly on, light the fire, and just do nothing. And I was like crawling the walls, going, "This is odd. I don't do it often enough, I think." But so how do you relax?
Oh, that's a good question. So I used to be a personal trainer. I remember one of my clients said to me, "What do you do?" He asked me a very similar question. What do you do for fun, or what do you do to relax? And then I started reeling off a long list of activities. And he was like, "No, not rock climbing, not scuba diving, no, what do you do to relax?" And I was like, "Oh, well, then I just do yoga or go to gymnastics." And he was like, No, just non-physical. What do you do? And I actually found it quite difficult. I don't watch TV, really. I find it difficult to sit through a whole movie. I'll probably watch half of it before I get up or get restless. And I come back to movies. It might take me 3 attempts to watch a movie. So I tell you what, though, recently, and it did used to happen when I was at university. I went to university up north in Durham, and I used to play computer games. I stopped playing computer games because I felt like it was a massive waste of my talents really,
Yeah.
sitting there for so long. But I recently have, whilst needing to recover, sat down, put a control pad in my hand, and like yesterday, for example, I had spent the afternoon playing a computer game. So yeah, although to be fair, while I'm doing that, I am listening to an audiobook at the same time. So I'm trying to always multitask. Yeah.
Yeah. See, I can't do that. I'm well into listening to podcasts, and sort of true
Right.
crime ones are my thing, or
Oh, interesting.
science ones.
Yeah, yeah.
But I can't do two things at the same time. I don't know what's up.
Yeah.
But 10 minutes will have gone by and I have no idea what they've just talked about. I can hear it, obviously, but I'm
Yeah,
focused
yeah,
on.
yeah,
I must be a
yeah,
very visual person, I guess. That must be how I
yeah.
learn better. Interesting corridor to go down, but it's coming further and further away from scuba diving. This.
Oh,
I'll
that's all
start another
right.
podcast.
Yeah.
So the sort of whilst I was doing some research into you, it was obvious that you, through your personal training, that you became a bodybuilder.
Yeah.
And I read up on this story you'd done about, is it late 2015, come 2016, where you'd gone into sort of watching your diet, and have you always been a vegetarian, vegan, or?
So I'll tell you about my diet actually, and my dietary history.
Yeah,
So my family are Jamaican.
yeah,
My dad is a Rasta, and typically Rastas don't eat pork.
right,
So from a very young age, I was always encouraged to not eat pork by my dad. So that was the first kind of meat that I dropped. From there, I think that there was, I don't know if you remember the mad cow disease scare,
yeah,
but at that point, I think I must have been 11 years old, maybe. And I decided to stop eating all red meat. I actually went with the idea that if anything walks on four legs, I'm not going to eat it. So at 11, I decided that.
That's
So that
strong
left
at
me
that
with,
age. That's a
yeah,
real
yeah,
strong
yeah,
choice,
yeah,
man.
yeah. So it left me with poultry and fish, which I just kind of got on with, and I just smashed chicken, and that was fine for me, and everybody just knew that Leon didn't eat anything that walks on four legs, and that went with me all the way through life, really, up until the point, as you say, I think probably 2015, um, maybe just before then, I was looking at giving myself an edge in terms of the personal training business that I had, and creating a niche market for myself. So while I was, researching about diet, nutrition, how to get the best out of my body physically, so that on stage I looked the best that I could possibly look. I did the first bodybuilding competition that I did was actually out in Bermuda. So I'd moved to Bermuda for a little while, and somebody had suggested that I enter this bodybuilding show, and I thought, go on then, why not? Let's have a look and go for it. And I did, and amazingly I won, which was great. The accolade that came with it, and obviously the trophy is the success. Being on the stage was nerve wracking, and I tell you what, this the thing about bodybuilding, which I didn't know at the time, is that it's more than just what you do in the gym. It's obviously what you do at home in the kitchen,
Yeah,
sleep, and how you prepare for the show as well. Waxing, for example, tanning. These are things that that I didn't know everybody had to do, and you do have to do it. You have to find a routine. You have to find an outfit. So all these parts of the show were new to me, and I was looking for a way that I could stand out with a backstory to be on display, as it were.
yeah,
Um, whilst researching the nutrition and the especially the fluid intake and things like this, I looked at how everybody else was performing and how everybody else was how they looked in comparison to how fit physically they were. Because actually, when you're on stage, you're actually not that fit. So without bashing on the industry too much, I decided that I was going to represent health while I was on the stage, because there's a lot of drug taking and there's a lot of just unhealthiness. You're ultimately starving your body. You're putting your body into very adverse situations and asking it to cope
Yeah.
in a very stressful, cortisol intense environment. And that was difficult to witness people crumble under those conditions. So
Really?
my ideal was, let's actually show people that you don't need to do it this way. You don't need to only eat chicken breast and broccoli. You don't need to only drink this protein shake. You don't need to, panic and take this particular drug or this particular compounds. And so I thought, what could I do to emulate health in this environment? And so that's where I thought, well, let's go plant-based then. Let's show them that actually it doesn't have to be like this. You can look fit, you can be fit at the same time. And so while the rest of the competition, literally everybody else in the competition, was backstage at this particular event that you're talking about, they were backstage and struggling, to even walk up the stairs. I remember we had to all go to register upstairs, and people were taking breaks on the stairs. I mean, people are unfit in the
Yeah.
and I because I couldn't eat dry meat, dry chicken or dry steak or whatever, I had to find another way to get protein in, which was mainly through shakes, but it meant I had a lot of water. So to mitigate the water, it meant before I went on stage, I had to do a massive HIIT workout to sweat everything out. Now, it's unheard of. It's unheard of in the fitness. It's unheard of. So I was backstage doing an insane, I mean, you think about this insanity workout, these kind of high intensity sessions. That was me backstage before a show, and people couldn't believe it. People could not believe it. And I went on to win that show. I went on to win the fitness category, and I think I came runner up in the muscle category. And that was after being vegan for, I think, 4 years. I'd been vegan at that point. And it worked for me, and I'd done another show before that, and that's why Men's Health picked up on who I was. There were another, I think they said another 5 guys that they wanted to also do a piece on, but they weren't ready, and I walk around competition ready, so I was, I needed a little bit of time, and I was good to go. So yeah, my main goal with regards to that was to just inspire people to believe that being plant-based doesn't necessarily mean you're stereotypical. As a typical gym going muscle guy would say, scrawny vegan, doesn't have to be that way. I'm a walking example. I'm plant-based, and I don't particularly enjoy the term vegan. I would rather say plant-based, because it reminds people what we're supposed to be eating rather than what we're not eating.
Almost
and
less political, isn't it?
Yeah. And I think it's just, it carries less stigma. So I think for me, plant-based, focus on eating your plants, and that's okay, And I'm not going to lie, sometimes now I eat prawns maybe, or I'll eat lobster, and that's fine, and it's my choice, I don't want the vegan police to now come and, oh, you're this and you're that. No, I'm eating a very healthy diet, and I have a very minimal impact on the environment, and that is the key for me. My first health, and then the environment, and then the animals, because I don't believe that we shouldn't eat animals. I just think that the food industry itself at the moment is disruptive to the environment. And I will say, sorry, based on scuba diving, because we are on a scuba diving podcast, the reason I eat shellfish is because of scuba diving. Because once I went down into the water, I found it I used to eat calamari. And the first time I went scuba diving, I remember, and I saw a squid, I instantly fell in love with them and said, I can never eat calamari again. And I remember that day. That was amazing. That was actually amazing.
We've been the same. We, at one of our first dates, we went into the middle of Manchester. I forget what it was called now, and it was Iberica or something like that, the restaurant. And we'd had octopus, and it was beautiful. I'm not gonna lie, it was lovely.
Yeah.
But within a couple of months, we started scuba diving, and literally everything in that ocean, but especially those kind of, they've been given like a title now, aren't they? Don't touch these, because they're subliminal animals and stuff.
Oh, really? Yeah. Because octopus, they're so clever, aren't they?
Yeah, but I just couldn't imagine eating them again. Whereas the shellfish, not so much.
I don't know why. I don't. But
Yeah,
I guess it's what you feel, and for me, I feel okay with that. And so,
yeah,
yeah, I'm sure there's some people that feel okay eating other things that I wouldn't. But no, octopus as well. I tell you one thing though. I did go, and although I do like octopuses in terms of to look at and what they're capable of doing. Uh, I was in Sri Lanka just before the lockdown, or actually during the lockdown, and it all got locked down to the point where it was just a few of foreigners with the locals living on
yeah,
this beach and locked into our environment. And so I would go out with the local fishermen, and one of the guys took me octopus hunting, and we went with our fins and snorkel and a spear, and we went to hunt octopus, and I wasn't 100% happy about. But you know, for the experience, I went with him, and for him, it was an honor to take me. You know, so I went,
really
and to see this guy fighting with the octopus, grabbing it, you know, pulling it out from inside, and I was like, wow, you know, the ink going everywhere. It was like
wicked.
from a comic book,
Yeah,
and it was quite an exciting experience. Um, but then his wife, then he gave it to his wife to cook for me. And he
yeah.
gave it me to eat, and I really, I really did I really did not, and I ate a piece to be
Yeah.
polite, but I really did not enjoy it. No, no.
I've had something similar. A mate of mine, he had a little small holding and he had chickens on there. So he'd eat there. He'd always give us some eggs and that was fine.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But he started keeping a couple of pigs. And during the summer, he'd gone away. So we had to go down and put like sunscreen on these pigs and that because we were getting
Oh yeah,
sunburnt
you
and stuff.
do, don't you? Yeah,
And then he took them to slaughter and he said, do us a favour, will you come and help me pick them up? So we went. So we got them from the slaughterhouse, two halves of each pig, and took them to the butcher's near him. A
yeah,
little tiny small one. So we're keeping it local, which I'm cool
yeah,
with.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And he said, for your trouble, here's a couple of chops.
For
And at
you, yeah.
that point, it wasn't that bad. But when I got
Yeah.
him home, I just couldn't eat them. They tasted
Funny,
funny.
isn't it?
Now I don't know whether
Yeah,
it's because the
yeah.
amount of crap that's pumped through them when they go through the supermarkets. I don't really know. I don't want to get
Oh, I see. Yeah,
too
yeah.
drawn down
Into
on
that,
that. But they,
yeah.
or whether I'd helped bring these pigs up. You know, I'd been
Yeah,
doing
yeah,
the
yeah,
shuttering in of them. I'm all for
yeah,
him keeping them and keeping it
yeah.
local and that, and whatever floats their boat. But anyway,
But for you, no.
nah.
Uh,
So tell us about your scuba diving journey. When did you start?
so, so, I'll love to tell you about this. I will absolutely love it. So I said I used to live in Bermuda,
Yeah.
uh, and while I was in Bermuda, I actually had two near drowning incidences. So I grew up in Birmingham in England, and that is probably the city that is the furthest away from the ocean. Yeah, I remember I remember when I used to travel on the train up north to university, and I'd be like, hands and face on the window. Oh my God, there's the sea, there's the sea. You know, we just didn't ever see the ocean. And
Yeah.
so within that, I think other than luckily my school had a swimming pool actually, and we did do some swimming lessons. So I was able to swim, but I wasn't a very strong swimmer. And while I was in Bermuda, there's a very, um, you know, I think Bermuda's made of hundreds of small islands, and the boat culture there is just huge. It's what you do on a Sunday, on a Friday. You get on a boat, you know, you get on somebody's boat, and you all go out and you have fun. And then at particular times in the year, they have what are called raft ups, where everybody takes their boats out. It's a massive bank holiday. They
Yeah.
all throw lines and make a huge raft that's like just I don't know, as far as you can see, all these boats rafted up, and you can walk across all the bows, and you can talk to people about the, you know, jumping, and it's just a massive drink up.
Wicked.
Music's playing. I mean, it's a great party. But for me, uh, I got a bit like, I'm a bit fed up of this now. I'm ready to go, you know.
Yeah.
And I thought, and here's something: my inexperience on the ocean meant that I saw land and thought, "Oh, guys, I'm done. I'm going back."
Yeah.
And just jumped in and tried to swim to land.
I'm just gonna grizz it out. I'll be there in a bit.
And I was not capable. I was not
Yeah.
capable at all. And at one stage, you know, it started to get a little bit difficult, and then it got a bit more difficult, and then I had to turn back and come back. And I thought, wow, that's annoying. I was more annoyed with myself than anything. But I just thought maybe it's because I've been drinking and I've been a bit stiff. Or so another time I went with my friends snorkeling, and I mean, life on the water was just never been my thing. So I went
Mm.
snorkeling, and I had a shallow water blackout from going down and up, down and up.
Wow.
And I remember, I mean, they talk about this, but I remember as I was, I remember looking up at my friend who was swimming, who was snorkeling on the surface, and I was down at the bottom, and I was looking at her, and I was going to surprise her, you know, that she couldn't see me. And while I was down there trying to get her, hope that she looked, she didn't look, and I remember trying to come up, and my vision just started closing in, and it just became more and more tunnel vision, and more and
Yeah.
more tunnel vision, and and I could feel myself going, and I thought, "You've done it now, Leon. You've actually killed yourself doing something stupid. You knew it was going to be a stupid thing that killed you, and here it is." And I blacked out, and my friend had to get me and take me to shore, and then like,
Jeez.
you know, bring me back. And what happened? What happened? And are you okay? Are you okay? Like, yeah, what happened? Like, oh my gosh, Leon, what were you doing? Okay, right, cool. And I'm thinking to myself, and more than anything, I was embarrassed, you know, because
Mm.
I was with a girl, you know, and I'm like, what are you doing, Leon? So, and then there was another time where we were doing cliff jumping in Bermuda, and I
Mm.
love cliff jumping. And it's again a big holiday. Loads of people are there. It's this one spot, Admiralty Park, where everybody goes. And I used to be a gymnast, so I'm like watching what they're doing, and okay, where's the exit point? Yep, right, cool. I'm off. Woo! And off I go. You know, yeah, the crowd cheers, and you know, for a cheer, I'll do a lot.
I know your pain.
So I've been doing this the whole time, and then they decided to take us to they were shooting a video. So now we're shooting a video. It's not just cheers. This is going to be documented forever. But we're going to a different cliff now. So we're getting a boat, go to this cliff. And the problem was that that cliff didn't have as clear as an exit point. So we had to get back to the boat. So the boat dropped us. We swam to the cliff. The boat went away, obviously, so we didn't get wrecked on the rocks. And we were jumping, but to get back to the boat, you had to swim. And that's when it was too far for me. And you know,
Oh no.
I again. And then at one point, I remember this one girl. She was struggling, and she's screaming for me, "Help me, help me!" And I'm going, "I need help, I need help!" And we're both like, "There's what we had one noodle between us." Oh god. We had one noodle between us, and we're screaming and shouting for these people to come and help us. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
She's going down, I'm going down, and then eventually we got rescued. So those two experiences there for me, obviously, um, made me think a little bit about the water. But as you say, and as you know, as you've said to your listeners here, I'm a stuntman now, and while I was training to be on the register, we had to decide which disciplines to do. And because of the timing for me, the rules were all going to change, and I needed to get my qualifications done as quickly as possible within 1 year. So I was already quite proficient in gymnastics, trampolining, high diving. I'd already had some experience in rock climbing. I needed to do one martial art. And the other thing, what was it going to be? Now, driving was quite expensive and was going to take a long time. And I was trying to find another discipline. And scuba diving looked like it could be something that could be done quickly to get to my dive master. If I go away and do it, I can get it done.
Yeah.
And I was so scared, Andy, that we had a party at my house to say goodbye. I invited all my friends, and I said to them, I might not. I went to Honduras to do my scuba diving,
Right.
and I went from open water to dive master in Honduras over about 3 months, diving, you know, 3-4 times a day. But before I left, I said to my friends and my family who were here at this party, I said, I might not come back from this. I'm going to I have decided I am going to get on the stunt register, and I am going to do every single thing it takes to get on there. I am not going to quit at all. I will do whatever it takes. And if I am not good enough, and that means that I die, then that's what will happen. So
Wow.
I'm going there knowing that I've had these experiences in the past, knowing what my goals are, and knowing that I'm prepared to sacrifice it all. And I don't honestly believe that I would be where I am today if I didn't make that decision to be prepared to sacrifice it all. Now, I'm not saying I went and did anything stupid. I just looked and said, okay, you are going to need to strengthen your swimming. So I strengthened my swimming. You are going to need to strengthen your understanding of the ocean. So I studied the ocean. You are going to have to be confident in a way that is different to everybody else. So when everybody else goes and gets drunk at the end of the night, you're going to have to go study because you've got this trauma to deal with, and you're going to have to overcome it to get where you want to be long term. And I remember I didn't know as part of the dive master that there were going to be swimming tests. I didn't know at all. so while I'm out in Honduras, they've said, "Oh yeah, so on this day we're going to do the swimming tests." And I was like, "Sorry, what?" And they're like, "Yeah, the swimming test. You've got to tread water. You've got to do these time swims." And I was like, "Oh my gosh!" So that meant then every day before everybody else, I had to be up at 4:30 training swimming. First in the pool, then in the ocean, then in the car, then in the what do they call it? The controlled water,
Quarries and things like that. Confined water spaces.
Confined water, yeah. So then first in the confined water, then in the actual ocean, then the open water. And I remember the day I knew I'd mastered it, the day I knew I had my confidence in the water, we were on a boat and we were heading out to the dive site. Yeah. And we all sat there talking away, and somebody said, "Spinners, spinners." We looked and all the dolphins would jump in, and they said, "If anyone wants to get in with the dolphins, sit on the edge of the boat now, and we're gonna move around, and you drop in when we say go, go, go." So go, 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 and all the excitement. I've grabbed my fins, my mask, and I'm like, go, 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 go. Off I go, not with my tanks, and I'm swimming with the dolphins, and I can hear them, and they're clicking, and I feel like they're talking to me, communicating. And I'm swimming with this pod, and it's incredible, Andy. And I am like emotional now, emotional. And I've got my GoPro, and I've got a video of this actually. And at one point, it was like they said goodbye and they sped off. And I looked up, and it was me by myself in the middle of the ocean because everybody else had gone a different direction. And I was there, and I was so excited about what I'd witnessed with these marine mammals here. And the boats over there picking people up one by one, and other people are over there. And I sat in the water, and I was comfortable. And I thought, yes, finally, like
mega.
I can do this now. So that is how my scuba diving journey started. Yeah.
See, when we started chatting, we were up at Cape Ray, weren't we, filming for this Emmerdale scene that was broadcast actually the week I was out in Scapa Flow. So we'd come back from diving. Right, come on everyone, come on, let's watch this scene.
Amazing.
But we were talking about side mount diving because me and you started chatting about what kind of diving we do. And side mount's a massive change, but I think it's becoming more sort of fashionable nowadays. It's kind of cool. Whereas in years gone by, it was kind of frowned upon, especially by boat skippers. They're looking at them going, "What are these idiots doing here?" And you seem to be taking up more space. What was your sort of step into doing that? What made you?
Yeah. Okay. So I did my paddy dive master out in Honduras, and as part of the package, I think they allowed you to do 2 or 3. What do they call these
specialities? Is it
specialities? Yeah, that's it. Yeah. So I can't remember what they offered out there. Maybe deep dive, peak performance buoyancy. I can't remember exactly which ones.
It definitely wouldn't have been dry suit, would it? Out there.
It really was. It's so funny because I actually met a Scottish guy out there, and he said to me that he'd never dived without a dive suit, without a dry suit. So it was all new to him learning how to dive, just in his board shorts. And for me, when I finally did my dry suit in the UK, oh my gosh, take me to the tropical weather anytime.
Yeah.
But it was, for me, I thought, well, after that experience that I told you about, and the completing my dive master after everything I'd been through, for me was a massive achievement. And not only that, had I faced my fear and been successful, but I'd found a love for something that I was once afraid of. And that's why I always say to people now, like, whatever it is that you're afraid of, go face it head on, because you might find a brand new passion. And I did. I found it, and I am passionate about scuba diving. And I went to. I just wanted to learn more. I just wanted to learn more and more. So I went to Tenerife and did additional courses. I went to Cape Verde, I think, and did courses. Where else did I go? Barbados, did courses. So just these little specialities. While I tagged them on a holiday, you know, while we're on a holiday, I'd go and do a course. And while I was trying to figure out my style of scuba diving, because I think that everybody has their own style, just like, you know, with fighting and martial arts, you know, you can learn the framework, but you're going to develop your style. And to be fair, when I used to watch the tech divers, I used to think those guys look pretty cool. Now, they did look pretty cool, and we had our little backpacks on with our single tanks, and I thought, these guys, like, they look cool. And I understand it's more work, so I thought, well, I'm not averse to doing the work, so I'll do the work. I used to have some issues with my back while I was back mount diving, and one of the tech divers said to me, I tell you what I had issues with, my back and my trim. And somebody said to me, it was the first lady who took me for my open water. She said, I think you'd be all right with Sidemount. I think you'd like that. And so when I looked into it and looked at what these guys were doing, and then looked at the course, you know, I'd done enough paddy courses. I said, well, am I going to go down the tech route? You know, is it something, you know, and I still want to get my my Tech 40, I think, or switch schools, or what do they call them? Yeah, anyway, foundations. But so I thought, yeah, to get the understanding of, I feel like it liberates me and frees me a little bit, because I can free myself of the tank quite quickly.
Just quickly going to interrupt this interview for a word about our sponsors. So the Fancy a Brew podcast is supported by Dive Life Scuba Diving Centre, your one-stop shop for all the recreational and technical dive gear and training needs based out of the UK. They boast a 5-star service with their own in-house gas blending and equipment servicing department. Not only do they have the biggest well-known brands such as Halcyon, Santee, X-Deep and Fourth Element, but they're also helping to promote new and up-and-coming brands reach their full potential. With a long-standing instructional career, Ollie van Overbeek has developed a community of divers through his store's club memberships, offering fantastic discounts on trips and training and equipment. The team at Dive Life teaches everything from open water to advanced Trimix rebreather courses, or even if you want to become an instructor, no matter what your diving aim, they can help. So for more information, take a look at their website, divelife.co.uk, or find them on Instagram and Facebook. And for a 10% discount on internet sales, use promotional code ATND10 at the checkout. Unfortunately, this isn't usable on any already discounted products. So next time that you're looking around for training or kit, give Dive Life a click. And now let's get back onto this episode.
I like the idea of cave diving. You know, I like the idea of penetration diving. So it felt like the next step to be able to be free in the water, as free as possible. You know, be the idea. Look, take my tank off, stick my tank through there, and swim through after it. Come on, man! Like, while you're going to be out there wishing you could come in, kind of seems like, well, that's the only place to be. That's the only thing I want to be doing. And yeah, I've not had as much experience in Sidemount diving as I would like. I've got my tanks now here in the house, and I would like to do more diving to get more experience doing it outside of courses, which but we're diving in quarries here, and I do like the reef diving. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I learned on reefs, and I do, you know, I've got some favorite fish on the reefs that I like to go and check in with, you know, and we don't have them here. We don't have them here in the quarries, and the visibility, but really, and people say to me, in the open water, side mount is kind of almost redundant. You know, why do you need to be going side mount? But I'm also a fan of redundancy. So if something, look, I had some buddies when we were diving out in Honduras, and the word space cadet, is is the word I would use to describe those lads. So,
Yeah.
so I want to be sure when I get on a boat that, okay, if something goes wrong with my primary unit, that having a whole separate unit just seems amazing. So I think, well, yeah, I've got extra everything. And I think in tech diving they teach that later down the line, don't they?
Yeah.
To have redundancy. And I think for me it started with, okay, you know, I used to really check air as well, you know. And I
Yeah.
think that
I remember buying a 12 litre and immediately after the first dive thinking, why have I bought a 12? It should have been a 15. And then within about 3 weeks, I had a 12-litre twin set, so two 12s.
yeah.
And then a
And
year
then you can
later,
relax and feel comfortable.
yeah,
Then a year later, what did you have?
a year later, I was then on Sidemount, twin 12 Sidemount.
Yeah. Oh,
Mint.
there you go. Yeah. Now you can. Now you're not stressing, and I think you know I am a guy that uses a lot of air. I don't think that will. I mean, air management is a thing in scuba diving, and it has improved. But I think the size of me and the fact that I'm so energetic means that I'm I'm gonna use air because I will
Yeah.
go full speed, look at that, and then full speed, look at that, and so I'm gonna use air, and to have two tanks, you know, amazing for me. So it for me, side mount just kept ticking boxes. So you know, the only downside was actually I would have to do the course. Okay,
Yeah.
fine, and then buy some additional gear. Yeah, okay, fine. Yeah, no problem. But you know, to be fair, I do think I look a lot cooler than everybody else in the world.
100%, mate. 100%. I think I made, it was probably 2.5 years into my sort of diving career, if that's the right term. But I made the biggest amount of gains from that course. Not
Oh,
only in
really? Yeah, yeah,
my buoyancy control, but my trim was
yeah,
always
yeah,
nice and
yeah,
flat.
yeah,
And
yeah,
then just the understanding of that redundancy and how worthwhile it was. But then gas management, because you breathe each cylinder down
yeah,
separately,
yeah,
don't you?
yeah,
So you're always
yeah,
swapping.
yeah, yeah.
But I was one of these. I'd probably wait half an hour before I did a gas check. As soon as I got in, you do one, don't you? Make sure it hasn't all
Yeah,
gone,
yeah, yeah,
or you
yeah,
have
yeah,
turned it
yeah,
on. And then I
yeah.
wouldn't check again. But side mount, you're forever going
Yeah, yeah,
checking because
yeah,
you want to
yeah,
keep them cylinders balanced. So I'm a
yeah.
massive
With the
advocate for it, and I
swimming and
think
stuff.
more people should do it from scratch.
Oh,
It
you think
seems,
really?
yeah, because again, you're taking the weight off your back straight away.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
some people probably develop issues quickly and then don't
yeah,
dive again.
yeah.
But
Oh, yeah, yeah,
the whole management and the understanding of trim and buoyancy,
yeah.
sorry, the gas management and then the trim and
Of course.
buoyancy, I don't think are taught well enough from
Oh,
scratch
okay.
with back mount. So that's my
Right.
little
Okay.
little
Well, that's interesting. I think my personal opinion is it for recreational diving for people who just want to come and have a look at what's down there. I personally feel it could be a lot more for them to have to deal with
yeah.
in their open water course,
Mm.
like academically,
Yeah.
because it is taxing on the brain. And while you're down there, trying not to panic and trying to remember not to bolt for the surface,
Mm.
having to change your regulators consistently and be looking at two different gauges, I think could be challenging for newcomers. But
Yeah.
I think that the skills maybe should be taught in advanced level, maybe. Um, but yeah, I think for me, it is a fantastic. You're getting me so excited about diving now again. You really are. You know, it's oh incredible. I'm so happy that I chose diving as one of my disciplines and that
Mm.
I went on to do as much as it's changed my whole perspective of the whole world. I've become more eco-friendly
Yeah.
because I've seen that you know we did some scientific research while we were out there on the damage that the bleaching of the coral,
Yeah.
and it made me aware. I mean, we've done beach cleanups. I've never done a beach cleanup. Like I said, I'm from Birmingham. Why would I ever be doing a beach cleanup? But when you're down there and you see a pack of crisp packet floating past, well, that shouldn't be there.
No.
I didn't come here to see litter, you know.
Yeah.
So the idea of picking things up while you're in the water and then cleaning up the beach, I would never have had that. I would never have had that. And the understanding that human beings are having an impact on the environment has
Mm.
only come from scuba diving. So I am actually indebted to, is it a sport, scuba diving? The
Yeah.
activity. Yeah.
Well,
I'm
I
indebted.
definitely relate to that because I think whilst I'm nearly 42, I've only been diving since I was
No,
30.
you're not. You're not 40. Shut up. You're
I
like
am.
28.
Thanks,
Oh my
mate.
gosh. You're gonna laugh.
It's the lighting. I didn't clean my camera enough. That's what it is. But joking aside, I've only been diving since I was like 35, 36.
Yeah, yeah.
So a very small portion of my life, like 1/6 or something like that. But I've more opportunities opened itself up to me through diving than in any other thing that I've tried before. I found I've been more naturally gifted at that. I've understood it
Right,
more.
okay, yeah,
It's
yeah,
inspired me more to do more.
yeah.
I don't know if I can put the word more into a sentence more often.
More.
A bit more, yeah. But obviously that led me and you to cross paths. And from that inspired me to start training for the register myself. I mean, I'd looked at it, honest to God, a year before. Oh God, just kicked me
Oh,
desk.
really? Yeah.
And I thought, you know what, that's a step too far for me. There's an awful lot to do and accomplish. And some of the things I hadn't even done. So whilst, much like you, I can swim. I wasn't a swimmer. I didn't have swimming lessons since I was a child, you know, at primary school. I was always confident in the water, but I had, as a kid, we had an international swimming pool, so I'd done high diving, but not to any standard. Just, you know, we all would go on a Saturday and just jumping off.
Yeah, launch yourself off. Yeah.
Yeah, cliff jumping. Every time we go away to our local beach and that, you know, there's some cliffs around there, so we go and seek them out and go for a bit of a jump and make sure it's deep enough before we get in, have a snorkel and that. Diving, obviously, I've ticked that. Rock climbing, I'd done. Never, ever. I've not even been in a fight, mate. So I've never done martial arts. You know, I got picked on loads, but I never had a fight. I was just a good runner. So they couldn't catch me. So I looked at it and I thought, there's so much involved. I'm running a business. I was doing YouTube and Instagram, and diving was, not Instagram, sorry, this podcast. And diving was like such a massive part of my life. I'm like, how am I going to fit all this training in? I'm only chatting to yourself and a few of the other stunt performers that were on it. Christina initially, and she said she'd done it in 2 years.
Yeah.
From scratch, like, and I'm like, okay. And then I talked to Belinda, talked to you, and I was like, can I do it? So I started having a look, and I was thinking, this is still a big ask. And now I'm like 5 months in, it's a flipping massive ask. It's huge. So I can understand how you managed to do it in a year because you had a lot of the tick boxes almost sorted yourself, didn't you? You've been doing certain things. But for me, who's got one tick box done out of 6, and 2 or 3 of them are completely new. So I've never done trampolining, never really swam, and never done a martial art. So they're like from scratch. It's so daunting. And whilst you're a massive inspiration, listen to how you had these near drowning incidents, and you'd said to yourself and to your family, I might not come back, but I'm doing everything I can possibly do to get on that. That's the mindset I want to walk away from this conversation with. And I'm very much like that. I throw myself in the deep end with everything I do, but it just seems like such a big, big task. Help me out.
It is a big task. It is a big task. I think the key is you have to split it down. Now the great thing about applying for the stunt register is that the criteria is set out. It's not like you have to, you know, write a book, for example, and come up with something yourself out of nothing. The criteria is there, so you know, okay, I have to do these 6 things, and you can either do it. I think preparation and planning is the key. Now, luckily for me, my wife is very, very good at those things, and the balance to be able to train multiple disciplines at a time. So, for example, I didn't start my kickboxing till just before I left to go for scuba diving, because what was the point really? I was going away for scuba diving for 3 months, so it was all a matter of getting the timing right and saying, okay, for me, 3 of the things I trained at the same time: gymnastics, trampolining, high diving. Trained them at the same time, but also intensively did those things. I had an intensive gymnastics coach that I'd go and see pretty much every day at one point. The same with high diving. I went to high diving for, with my gymnastics coach, we did gymnastics and trampolining. So, and that was just in the middle of the day. So I was in a position where I could stop working and only focus on this for 1 year. Because the deadline meant that they were changing the rules, and if I hadn't completed by that time, then I would have to start again. So it was all or nothing. We had to go for it. And it's just a matter of, okay, cool. Let's take kickboxing, for example. I hadn't done kickboxing before, so I started on a white belt. But my goal is to only get to the next belt, yellow belt. Okay, so let's see, what do I have to do? And they give me the list of things I have to do, and I look and I go, okay, right, cool. And my approach to everything is, if I do, I can just work it out in hours. If I apply 2 hours to this every morning, then I sleep and rest and eat, and then give another 2 hours to it. And then for me, as you are a visual learner, I film everything. Look, I got my GoPro here. I got another one there. I film everything, absolutely everything, because I know if I'm a visual learner, after I've physically done it, if I watch, and I still use these tactics or techniques now, I go to the gym, I just come back, I film myself working on the bag. And then while I'm eating my breakfast, I watch and I study. So I've just done an hour on the bag and I'll watch myself for an hour. So technically, I've done 2 hours because I'm reviewing every single thing while it's fresh in my mind. Oh, okay, step like this. I look like this. So I'm using skill. I'm using what I know are my strengths to my advantage. Now, for some people, their strengths are elsewhere, and they use those things to their advantage. But it's about, for me, internalizing 100% what that thing means to you, and you have to live it, eat it, breathe it. I remember I was working on Game of Thrones out in Belfast, and I was staying with a friend, and you know what set life's like. We're working crazy hours, and he would come down in the morning, and it'd be like 3 a.m, and I'd be in his living room practicing kickboxing, working on my techniques, and he's, what are you doing? Well, I know I can't do this when I get to work, and I know that I'm going to be tired at work, but it doesn't matter because one day I will get to rest. And that rest can't be now because I'm working towards something. Now, I'm not saying that rest is not important, and it is, otherwise you will break. And I did break. I fractured my hip while I was during this whole time. but it's about commitment, and it's about knowing, okay, this is what it will take. And if you're a scientist, so if you can look at the methodology, if you like, and go, if I follow this methodology, even if you're a chef, if I follow this recipe, I'll get a creme brulee at the end of it. So you just do what is necessary. And it's just as simple as, don't think about, oh, it's so difficult. Just look at the recipe and go, well, if I do this, 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 and this, it's impossible for me to not succeed. It's impossible. I just have to go through the motions. Those are the things. But you have to commit. And it means, look, the only thing that, the only thing I watched on TV, I even watched TV, the only thing I watched on YouTube was kickboxing. The only thing. Because I needed to learn so much. I needed to get years of experience in months. So that's what I had to do. So what would a normal person do? They would go to gymnastics twice a week, for a couple of hours in the evening. Or if you're a club level athlete, you'd swim every morning at 6 a.m. when the pool opens. Okay, well, cool. Well, I need to be better than that. So I need to do more of what they do, but more. Or and I'm watching. Do you know what? Give you an example here for high diving. And if you're a visual learner, on the day of my high diving exam, there were 3 dives that I hadn't done off the 10-meter board yet. There were 3. No. The night before, I was sat. I think there were 3 dives, and I'd only done them off 7.5. The night before, I sat and stayed up all night watching videos of me and other people completing those dives, stopping it, slowing it down, looking at exactly the movement pattern, so that I knew in my head what to do if this, contingency plan, what if this. When we did that job in Emmerdale, I walked up, looked at the bridge, and I knew instantly, this is how this is going to work. And the only thing I did from then was review in my head. I asked my wife to leave because she had come up to stay with me. I said, no, you've got to go. I need to focus on this. And the only thing I did from then was work out contingencies. If this happens and Belinda goes like this, what will I do then? If this happens and this happens, what will I do? So I had no doubt in my mind that if no matter, there was a complete array of things that could have gone wrong, and I was prepared for them because I did the due diligence, I did the work. And I think that for a lot of people who aren't successful in their training on the stunt register, and people who, not just the register, but in other aspects of life, they've not fully, they think they've committed, but they haven't really. Did you do everything? At the end of this, if you weren't successful, would you think, you know what? I could have done a bit more. I could have done a bit more.
Yeah.
And that's it. You can't, you can't. I used to play basketball, and if we would lost the game, and I felt like I could have given a little bit more, I didn't dive on that ball when I could have, or I didn't, I was a little bit lazy with my defender, and he got past me.
Yeah,
that's the sickening feeling, especially when it's a life-changing, literally a life-changing goal. So that's what I would say to you: stay focused and immerse yourself in it, become it. Literally just become it. Walk around. When I was doing my rock climbing, I used to walk around in my rock climbing gear in the house with my belt on. I'm not even messing about. I've got a friend, and she laughs so much because every time she used to come to the house, I've got my scuba diving gear, for example. If we take it back to scuba diving, I run dry drills in the house there, where I get into my gear and take it back off, put all my tanks on, take them back off. I've got a massage bed, and I lay down on it and look at my trim. And, okay, this is the position you want to be. I'm not even in the water, but I know that these, exercises, they help build this memory. So that once you're in so I know, okay, actually, this is when I'm in trim. This isn't in trim, or this is, because when I'm on a boat and the boat's rocking and this, that, the other, it's going to be harder than when it was in the house. Yeah. So let me master it in the house first, because out there it's not going to be easier. It's going to be harder. So and it's everywhere. It's absolutely everywhere. Watch all the videos. Yeah, that's my attitude. And some people, they're gifted, so they don't need to do that. They can just rock up and do stuff. I was never really that guy. I just work harder than everybody else.
All the clubs that I go to, there's all kids in there. Like I said, I am nearly 42.
Yeah.
So everyone's pretty much a kid next to me. And there's one, whether we're doing dry land dive training on the trampoline or in the gym or whatever, or we're actually on the springboards, because that's all we've got at the minute.
Right.
And everything I'm doing, I'll look over and she's always sort of there. She's definitely not looking at me. She's not bothered about me, but she's doing it beautifully and perfectly. And I think, I can hate you. Because there are those people who are just so naturally gifted, or I've just been doing it longer, and you're trying to compare yourself to them.
And you can't.
No.
But all you can do is say, okay, well, how long have they been? This is what I would do. I would ask them, this is the kind of thing I do. How long have you been doing this? And they tell me, I've been doing it 4 years. How many times a week do you come? I come 3 times a week, and we do an hour and a half. All right, cool. And I'll add it all up. Okay, that means this many hours you've done, and I'll catch up with the hours, because that's it. And if my hours are actually closer together than your hours, then I think that the growth is exponentially better.
Right.
Personal opinion, not everybody would take that, but yeah.
Oh God. So how have you managed to combine scuba diving and being a stunt performer? Have you actually done any work that cross over?
You know what? I was so jealous. Was it you that took Belinda down into the
It was me,
I was jealous of that. I was really jealous.
First known person to have dived that hole as well.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Apparently.
Yeah. I said to Belinda, I think we drove back together, and I said to her, I'm not gonna lie, I don't normally get jealous of people when they get to do the stunts, but I was like, that for me would have been, because it's a test of your skills and your abilities and your level of composure. Everything that we do in stunts on the day is only just reflecting what you did previously. What you do on the day is we used to say, the game is not won on the day. It's one in the training beforehand, you know. And I think that's the same with stunts. For scuba, I haven't done anything on the water yet. I know people who have done stuff where they've driven cars into the water and they've got a tank next to them, and then they stay under. I know that I am able to do that. If it's called upon me to do, I am able to do it. And a lot of the things and the training that I continually do is so that if somebody asks me to do something, I'm ready, you know. And I say to myself, and I'm always a couple of weeks out from anything. So if you wanted me to do a bodybuilding show in 4 weeks, I can do it. If you wanted me to anything, I don't have to have that. I need a bit of time to refresh what I'm doing. If I needed to have, I'm looking at doing a fight, kickboxing fight, martial arts fight, a competition. I was thinking, yeah, but I only need a couple of weeks to get ready for everything. And that's I always try to stay
in
ready
that zone.
in every field. And scuba diving, I find, is the most difficult because one, you need a buddy unless you want to get into solo diving, and it is something I'm looking at, and I know it's quite controversial because there
not
are
here, mate. I'm a solo diver. It's not controversial. You're welcome here anytime.
Because I have said it in the past, and people are but to be honest, I do a lot by myself. I do everything by myself. All my things that I train, I do by myself, and that's why I find scuba so difficult because I can't just get up and go. And maybe I should do the course, and perhaps I will do at some point. But yeah, just get up and go scuba diving because it's amazing. It's like going for a run or going for a walk or going for a hike. You know, it's exploration of your environment. So I am a bit not disappointed, but I'm excited to find the time when I first get to use my scuba diving skills at work. I think now though, with safety teams like yourself, the idea of the actual stunt performers doing the water safety stuff is less and less than it used to be, perhaps. And that's probably a good thing, actually. I think I would much rather know that, for example, you were in the water when I'm doing a high fall. We did that 60-foot high fall. What was the name of it again? The place where we were, Cape and Ray.
Oh, Cape and Ray, yeah.
Yeah, into Cape and Ray. I would much rather know that you and your team were there rather than if it was Belinda and Christina. And that's not because it's them; it's because
we do it all day long. Such,
yeah.
I tell you what, though, when is it High Force Falls when it where that waterfall was, and
it
was so dark, that water. I mean, there was 20 meters of water coming over, and it was only 4.5 meters deep. But on the bottom there, you couldn't feel all that coming over. I was directly under that. I dived it first just to make sure it was clear before we went in, and there was nothing on the bottom.
You saw a pike in there?
No, I saw a crayfish.
Oh, crayfish!
And I think it was a brown trout.
Yeah.
But it was so dark. It was unreal. Like,
wow.
Because the peaty coloured water just was not letting any. And you look up, and it was almost red. You know, like it was weird.
Yeah. And I think that's why I think for me to go down there blind, essentially, I'd love to do that. I'd love to do it. I'd love to do that. I would.
I mean, obviously, I don't know Belinda very well, but how she kept her composure with no mask on, no visual sort of references, my spur reg in her mouth, and me just giving her like a hood on the way down. I can't even give her the thumbs up and say, "Are you all right?" Or talk to her.
Nothing. Yeah.
So that is some strong composure there. So kudos for her.
Yeah, but I mean, incredible for her. Yeah, I mean, one day they will let me have a go. And this is the thing, I think about the stunt world, and you'll see. Sometimes you just want to go. Even when we went off you want another go? We did that. Right, we're going again. No, we got it. Oh, come on. All right, can we just have a go anyway? Because we're the kind of people that like that stuff.
Yeah.
So obviously we go because you tell us, hey, you're going to get to jump off something cool today. Great. Yes, I'm up for it. And then, can we do it again? No, no, no. And you're like, oh, please. Like, you feel like a bit of a, oh, please. Like, let me have another go. Yeah.
Well, that's what's attracted me. And when I'm telling people that I'm sort of started this journey, and they're like, "What, you want to do that?" I'm like, "It's not about the money. It's not about the notoriety. It's you're doing something that I would do for free.
Yeah, yeah. Don't
You
tell
know,
them that,
I
though.
do in my own time. Yeah, don't tell anyone.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll have you. No problem. But I would,
Gosh.
you know what I mean? The kind of things I
Yeah.
pay to go and do, or
Yeah,
I
exactly. Yeah.
go doing, and not in as perhaps a safe manner.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Yeah.
You know, so
100%.
it'd be
One
phenomenal.
hundred percent. Yeah, 100%. You're, yeah. And this is the thing I do. There is nothing at work that I've done other than probably a full burn,
Yeah,
which is more dangerous than stuff I've done by myself. You know,
really.
yeah. Because yeah, like you say, you would have jumped off that thing. Well, in fact, let's not get into the particulars
Yeah.
where we're being recorded.
All right, let's touch on then your
Oh,
time on
good.
Ninja Warrior, mate. Because when I was
Ah,
looking,
Ninja Warrior,
doing
yeah.
some research, mate, the first scene that I saw of you on Ninja, you dressed up in this blow up suit doing sumo or something. So
Yeah.
how did all that come about?
So, so actually, the suit was from my stag do. So for my stag, we went we went to Amsterdam, and the lads had me on with this. Uh, because they had me as a, I'm a ninja within my mates. I'm the
Yeah,
guy doing all the crazy stuff. So they had me with this inflatable ninja suit on a bicycle around Amsterdam, which was great.
yeah,
So what happened was there was a guy in the gym. He used to be a footballer actually, and he did Ninja Warrior, and he didn't do very well. And when he came back to the gym, we all went, "Oh, mate, what on earth? We thought you were going to do us proud. You fell in the first thing, unbelievable." And it was really a lot of banter. And he
yeah,
kind of, "Oh, go on, one of you guys do it. It's not that easy." So I said, "You know what? I'll do it." So I mean, I think you do an online application, then you do a video application, and then they do a telephone call, and then you have to go to do like a physical assault course slash audition. Uh, and I knew that what they're looking for are people who are good, but also people who are funny, who are going to make the show characters. And I had a feeling that just by being good wasn't going to be enough. So I went in my costume. I think they did say something like, "Yo, if you're in a costume, it will help, your application." So I went in my this was the only costume I had, and I thought it would be a great idea. So I did it in the costume, and they said to me at the time, if you got on the show, would you do it in this costume? Would you be okay to do it? I said, yeah, of course I'd do it in the costume. Blah, blah. So when they called me to say you've been successful, they said, on the condition that you wear this sumo
really?
costume. So okay, no problem. Which for round one, was okay, and it was. I mean, come on, it got released on January 1st of was it 2017 or 18? And it was huge, everybody my phone was blowing up like, oh
Really?
my gosh, yeah, it was amazing. It was an amazing to watch, was amazing. And again at that time, and it's difficult, and I have quite a strong message about people achieving what they can achieve and getting what they want from this world, and not being idle and watching it pass by. And as I said earlier, if you face your fears, you can find passions, and live your passion, and do what you're supposed to do here, and experience what there is to experience. So I said a similar thing on the microphone when they interviewed me, and that was the reason why I went, because I had this message and I wanted to get it out, and I thought, how can I reach as many people as possible? So one of the things, apart from my own ego of doing the course, was actually I had a message that I wanted to try and get out to people, and let them know that the world's there for living. It's not there for just sitting and
Yeah.
watching other people live. And unfortunately, I took the mic off the presenter, and I gave this monologue. I'd prepared it. It was huge, and they cut it Oh,
Oh, gutted.
and I was gutted. I was gutted. And you know, I did a couple more. I went to the semi-finals, and then I made it to the finals. And actually, in the finals is when I looked around and said, "Wow, I'm the only person my size, my race, my height who's in the finals." And I was like, "So that means physically, I'm a niche here." You know, there was like I think 20,000 people that applied to get onto the show.
Yeah.
I'm here, the last seven, and I look like me, and there's no one else that looks like me. And this was part of the reason why the stunts came to me, because people said, "Hey, listen, you could go into stunts." And I thought, wow, actually, you know, I am a niche, and there aren't many people who can do what I can do. And actually, they do need people like me. So it did really help me understand the value that I hold in my uniqueness, which um, has led on to more things for me. And I'm really happy that I did it. You know, I am really happy that I did it. I wouldn't do it again. And he did ask me to go back for the Champion of Champions episode,
Yeah.
but I've done it, you know, and I don't see what more I can get from it. And if
Mm.
my message isn't going to get out there, then you know, I'd rather start my own thing. Like you've got your own thing here, yeah.
Yeah.
And so,
Cool, man.
do you fancy Ninja Warrior? You said your friend's got the rights to it.
So, there's a guy we work for. So I do pest control and property maintenance as like my
Yeah,
day to day. And a guy whose daughter went to school with one of my kids, he got some rights through ITV to run like a civvy version. So it's more for kids, I think. Adults can go.
yeah,
It's almost like one of these blow up parks, but there's all the same sort of overhead stuff going on.
yeah.
So we do the pest control for him. That's how I got to know about it. And it is local. It's in
Ah,
our town. And then they've got a couple. I think there's one up near Newcastle, but he's got
yeah.
the rights for America now. So he's developing one in
Oh
California and stuff.
wow, amazing,
He's one
amazing.
of these, a bit like us, but more business orientated. He doesn't
Yeah,
rest
yeah,
on his laurels. You
yeah,
know, one thing leads to another, and before you know it, he's got 100 of them. So
yeah, yeah, yeah.
whilst I've been in there 100 times and done what we do there, I've never actually been on the course. And
Oh, what you need to get on it?
but there's it's the opportunity in it. You want to go with a group of mates. I don't.
Yeah,
My
true.
kids are not going to attack it and force me around. Obviously, I'm going to beat
Yeah.
them, aren't I? I want to go with someone that I might not beat, and that gives me the edge if I beat them.
Yeah.
So there's a couple. I've had them on here before, and I've dived with them. They live sort of North Wales sort of way. Jake, you would have met him actually. He was up at Cape and Ray when we were there.
Yeah.
So he wants to come over, and he's fit. His girlfriend Giovanna, who I train with a little bit for rock climbing, she's also training for the register, and she's a personal trainer. So both of them are like 10 years younger than me, if not more, and dead fit. And I'm like, okay. So you want to come up here? Let's do it, and then we'll go diving Cape and Ray or something like that. It's nuts. So
Yeah, yeah.
it will happen.
I
It's
might,
just
I might be interested in something like that.
yeah, we've got to get around to it, haven't we?
Yeah.
So, mate, it's been great having a chat with you, and I will come away from this inspired to sort of dig deep now, because certainly my swim training, I've booked my assessment for for June,
Mhm.
and I'm struggling with it a little bit. Not the overtraining elements of it, just me making either tactical bounds or marginal gains, however you want to term it.
Yeah.
But I'll now focus it in perhaps my attention's in a different way now from this conversation. So
Can I say something about overtraining?
yeah,
Uh, okay, so I had a guy when I was training for the register. There was another guy who was training with me, and we were supposed to finish at exactly the same time. We had the same kickboxing final assessment. On that day, he didn't show up, which completely threw me because I was supposed to be fighting him at the end of the session. He didn't show up, and I couldn't understand where is he, and I had to put it out of my mind and just get on. Anyway, so the next day or a couple of days later, I messaged him and just said, "How's everything? You know, did you grade on a different day? Is that why I didn't see you?" And he said to me, "No, on the final day, sorry, on the final week, uh, he had gone to high diving, and he took a fall, and he couldn't face going back up the stairs. And as I said before, our cutoff date was a very specific date, 5th of November 2018. And that meant that his whole thing had to start again. He was done because he couldn't go up the stairs and do what he needed to do. But his thing to me, the whole time we were training, and I was doing ridiculous amounts of training, I actually, as a fact, shattered multiple tears, multiple fractures in my hip while I was training for the Stunt Register. It meant that at one point I really didn't think I was going to get through. And the reality was I was overtraining. I was. He kept saying to me, but what about overtraining? You're coming back in again, but what about overtraining? And I didn't listen. And I overtrained and I got injured. And while I was injured, I didn't go to the hospital. I didn't go to the doctors because I knew what they were going to say, stop. And I couldn't afford to stop. I had to keep going. So although overtraining is a reality, and it is something we need to be careful of, there are some times in life where you are going to have to push above and beyond what is for normal people. And I don't consider, when I look at the normal statistics and normal recommendations for the normal population, I've never been normal. I've always strived to be in the top percentage, top 2%, the top 1%. And by that, it means that sometimes I have to disregard what is classed as safe or within the boundaries of whatever recommendations. Yeah. And I would say always go by what you feel and still keep going and know that you've still got a little bit more. You know, it's like your scuba diving tank, you know, like, yeah, we know we're supposed to come up now. Know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, man.
You know we're supposed to, look, we've hit this now, we've hit this bar. We agreed in the plan that we'd come up when, you know, but I think we can stretch it just a little bit, because actually, if it did come down to it, we could do this, or we could do this, or we could do the other. And that's the difference. And I think that's what the difference that's what makes those people in the top percentage and those people. And there's another guy, Goggins, I'm sure you've heard of him, David Goggins. He's the same, you know, there's a few people out there who are just pushing the limits of what's physically thought possible and can be successful in doing that. And I think that always know that within yourself, you are an amazing specimen. You are capable of so much more than you even know right now. I'm capable of so much more than I even know. Everybody is. And it's in that search, that's where we really find ourselves. And that's what I want to do.
Oh, mate. Can't wait to go to the gym now. I'm going to be like, "Rah!" as I walk in.
Oh gosh, yeah, that is it. And that being said, my next adventure, hopefully, is the Clip Around the World circumnavigation, sailing around the world. So I've signed up for that. I'm during the process of the application. We're in correspondence, and we've made it down to the point where there's now only 20 people fighting for my position. So over the next few weeks, hopefully, we're going to hear some success about how will be. The next adventure is sailing around the world. So so it doesn't stop, as you say, it doesn't stop.
Awesome.
Exciting times.
Mate, I can't thank you enough I know you're a busy guy, clearly, but you know, for giving us a couple of hours just for have a chat and a brew and a catch up, mate. And hopefully it inspires other people. That was always my sort of thing with the podcast, a bit of a networking and inspirational tool for me. But if I can inspire other people through the conversations we're having, you know, I think you'll be a massive inspiration for, if not for me, everyone else. So wicked, man.
Well, thank you for having me. It has been an absolute pleasure. This has been my first podcast. It has been really enjoyable. And I'm excited to hear how the edit goes and how it transponds and to see if there's any comments.
Wicked, man. Have a nice day.
Thanks, Andy. You too, mate.
Soon.
Catch you later.
So much. Thanks.
Cheers,
Bye.
Buddy. Bye. Bye.
So that brings us to the end of the episode, and I hope you've enjoyed this week's guest enough to subscribe to the Fancy a Brew podcast and leave us a 5-star review wherever you download your podcasts. Don't forget to take a look at Dive Life's website and social media channels, as they always have some great deals available, and you can use promo code ATND10 at the checkout to get some money off any non-discounted items. For more information on this episode, take a look at the description or follow us on Instagram for all the latest news and upcoming releases. Thanks for listening. I'll see you on the next one.